Some big drops this week in the AI development space worth paying attention to. So Google released an updated version of Gemini 2.5, which makes their goated model even better. We're going to build an app and test its vibe. And then secondly, Clerk, the auth and user management tool I lean on in my course and community, just dropped a feature that solves a huge billing and pricing setup problem for startups. I think it's going to save us days of build time, and in this video I'm going to show you how to vibe code user management, subscriptions and pricing in under 30 minutes, which is kind of nuts. Quick AI development news update. Excuse the hotel backdrop. I'm here in San Francisco for the kickoff of the Bolt Hackathon. Check out the link in the description to enter. I'm meeting a bunch of AI companies and creators trying to get a good hold on what is happening next in the space to bring it straight back to subscribers of the channel. Also, really big news for Cursor, 900 million in investment into their coding IDE, and Windsurf also announced that they were being acquired by OpenAI at a valuation of 3 billion. The space is really heating up, and a lot of these frontier companies realize that software development and AI software development is a huge gain for businesses. If you're a builder, check out switchdimension.com, where I have a course and community that helps you build apps 10x faster using AI. Okay, enough chat, let's get building. So quick thanks to Clerk for sponsoring this. I've been using Clerk for about 5 years now, and when they told me what they were about to release, I jumped on it. You see, trying to get billing and auth and your database set up together using webhooks is kind of a painful mess. You've got your application, which needs to be protected in some way, so we need to manage those users. Then if we've got payments in place, we need to set up pricing pages. We need to understand which users have access to what features. We need to think about, are there yearly plans? We need to protect all those routes of those features, what are available, what are not available to different plans. We need to manage forgotten passwords, single sign-on, all that kind of stuff. These are the kind of things that takes weeks or months in terms of setup. And when you're vibe coding or prototyping an app into existence, you have this core functionality. You want to get it out to the market and test it as fast as possible. And you don't want to be worrying about all this infrastructure. That's why I think this new release from Clerk is really key. So Clerk have been a real leader in authentication and user management for years. I've been using them back since 2020, and now they've released subscription billing. So what this means is, using your regular Clerk setup and your user management, they've baked in the ability to put in pricing and billing attached to that without you having to do it yourself or do it separately. And all this works well with Stripe as well if you wanted to. So you can set up your pricing pages as widgets. You can allow pricing and test pricing and take different payments. You can have different subscription data and different features that they get added to, and you can gate for that within the application, and a whole load more good stuff that I'm going to talk through. In Cursor, we're going to go to Open Project. I'm going to create a new folder just called Clerk Billing To Do or whatever you want. And then I'm going to open that folder. So now we've got Cursor set up in the right way, and you can see here we've got the folder structure as the root. Now I'm going to use the latest version of Gemini 2.5 Pro. So if we pop over here to the models settings and we click on models here, now this is the older version and the recent version just came out today. What we've been told by Cursor is that this will actually reroute to the new version of Gemini. So you'll be using the upgraded version. Okay, so over here, we can make sure that we don't have auto select turned on, and we're going to select Gemini 2.5 Pro, and we're going to put in our first prompt. I like to use my voice as much as I can. I'm currently using Whisperflow. You can see it down here. I'd like to create a Next.js application in this folder, and it's given us the command. We hit run. Yes. Do we want ESLint? Yes. Do we want Tailwind? Yes. Inside the source directory, yes. App router, yes. TurboPack, no. Import alias, no. And so you'll see over here on the left hand side, it's beginning to create the file and folder structure. The one we're most concerned about is our source directory. That's where all the magic happens, and the rest of these are configuration files. Okay, so that seems to have successfully installed. We're going to pop open our terminal, which allows us to run a server and interact with the file system. So in order to run our server to see if it's working, we just type npm run dev. And it gives you a address. Yours will probably be localhost 3000, not 3001. If I hit command or control and click this, it should open our Next.js application. So congratulations, straight away you've got your first Next app up and running in just a few seconds. Okay, so down in our little prompt here, and we're in agent mode. Again, I'm going to put in our next prompt. I want to create a landing page and a application for a to-do list app. I'd like you to give it a name and create some compelling copy for the landing page. And then when you click on a button, it will take you through to a dashboard, which allows you to add in your to-do items to a list and check them off. Cool, and I'm just going to click send here and see what we get back. Now this is basically a one-shot prompt. I'm trying to do an awful lot in one go. Generally, when you're doing more production-based apps or larger scale apps, you want to make sure that you've done a little bit of thinking behind this. Okay, so my first reaction to Gemini 2.5 is it's actually really quite fast. You can see here it's thought for 7 seconds and it's giving us some really fast outputs. So anything in red has been removed, green has been added. Source directory, we have the app that's been created. So we have dashboard, and within the dashboard, we have this page, and then we have our normal page and our layout, that's our landing page, and then our components directory has all these new little components. This is our landing page, organize your life with task flow. Perfect, that's enough of a landing page for what we're trying to demonstrate here. And then if I go and click sign in, it should take me to the dashboard item and it adds it to the list. Perfect, so we've got the basics of an application that we might want to protect. So essentially all the different changes that we've made show up here on the left hand side. So if we go back over here, and I can just stage all the changes that I want because I want all these included, and then they'll be included with the commit. So there's 0 changes left over and everything is staged or ready to be saved. And then we've got a little update for what we're going to add. So I'm just going to click commit here. Okay, so we've got our application pretty much set up. Now we want to put some kind of authentication in place. In my course and community, I use Clerk as a standard. I just think it's a really quick way to get auth set up. And the fact that they've added in Clerk billing now just takes it to a whole other level. So I'm going to talk you through how to get all that set up. Let's pop back over to Cursor. So I'm going to make sure we've got Context 7 set up. Basically what Context 7 does is it's gone and crawled all the documentation of all the major frameworks, platforms, etc. And then what it does is it goes and takes those documents and pulls them into a LLM friendly version. So if we look at, say, Clerk, for example, we see that it's been crawled 2 days ago, and we can take a look at the summarization here. You can see that it's basically pulled all the documentation into a very LLM friendly setup. If you wanted, you could just go and copy this right now and add it into your prompt. You don't necessarily need to set up the MCP, but it just gives you an idea of how that works. So technically, depending on what model you're using, it should call and look to get library docs for whatever you're trying to set up. So that's our prompt. I've got Gemini 2.5 in play, and I'm just going to pop this in here to see how we go. So taking a look at its context request here, it's saying it seems like Clerk JavaScript is still the closest match. I don't actually want to use this one. So in this case, I'm not going to use Context 7. I'm going to be more specific about what I want. So in this case, I'm just going to actually just go and traditionally search. So that takes me through the Next.js Quick Start. So the app router is the one we want, and it's more common in recent versions of Next.js. So what's really cool here is you can actually copy this page as Markdown. So I recommend in any documentation that you're looking at these days to check for this kind of a button. And Clerk are very progressive here. Copy that here, and we're going to pop over to Cursor. We're going to create a new folder called Documentation. So we're going to call it .documentation. And then in that, I'm just going to paste in the I'm going to call it clerk.md, and we're just going to dump in the setup information there just so we can reference it easily. Perfect. So, and you'll also see here it's been added as reference in our chat. So I'm going to try a one shot and see if we can get this set up straight away. Oh yeah, one other thing I want to do is I want to make sure I'm letting it know the context of the application. We don't want to protect the landing page. We want to protect the dashboard setup. So I'm going to just say that we have the app folder here, which is perfect, and then we have the dashboard. So I'm just going to let the model know that by pulling in this directory as well. And I'm going to say, okay, again, so right before we kind of kick off with this new prompt, I just want to make sure that we're in a clean state if anything goes wrong. So I'm just going to stage my documentation here. I'm going to give a quick little prompt, add Next.js quick start. We're going to commit that, and it gives us a clean start or a clean refresh point if things go wrong. So let's just see what it came about doing. So went and we ran the install for the Clerk setup, which you can see is recommended here. Perfect, great, it's been installed. Let's create the middleware file. So now we can see over here all these files that have been created, and it's always good to make sure they're sitting in the right place. So in our source directory here, we have middleware. So define a matcher for dashboard. That's exactly what we want to get set up, because we want to make sure that the dashboard root is protected, and then everything within that is also protected. So then in terms of layout, it's gone and imported the Clerk provider, sign-in buttons. These are all these kind of components that Clerk provides for you. If you didn't have these, you'd have to go and create these from scratch yourself. But this is just a really fast way to get you up and running quickly. So let's scroll down here, and then what we're also doing is making a few changes to the layout so that we've added in this Clerk provider. So if you understand what a provider is, it's basically almost like a wrapper that you can put around certain parts of your application code to apply certain logic. So we've basically wrapped our layout so that we're applying the provider or the Clerk logic whenever we need to. So I'm happy with this for now. Let's review the next file. Okay, so then we have the actual page itself. So this is the page, the landing page. So we've added in a sign-in button from Clerk, and then we've added this to the top of the page. Now, and then let's review the next file. So now we have inside in our dashboard over here, you can see we've got page, and so it's importing the user button, users. Yeah, this is going to show our little avatar on the page. Perfect. So let's accept that as well. I'm kind of flying through this here, so I'm not going to take the time that I would do if this was a production setting. I just want to see if I can get this working. Let's see what it's given us in terms of our last instructions here. This is usually the most important part of the output. So we've installed Clerk Next.js, we've created and configured the middleware and protected this particular route. We've updated the layout, so we've wrapped it in the provider. Then we've updated the landing page to use a sign-in button, which redirects to the dashboard. Perfect. And then we've updated the dashboard page with a personalized welcome message and a user button. You should now have a functioning authentication flow, everything else. Now the problem is it's not giving us the extra level of instruction because we don't have it connected to Clerk yet. So I don't know how it would be expected to work. So I'm going to presume I don't know that's a step, and let's just go straight over and try and sign in for the first time. So I click my sign in button. And okay, it's giving me my sign in to my application. So I'm going to try and see what we get in terms of errors. So you'll see down in the bottom here, we've got Clerk is in keyless mode. Link this application to your Clerk account to explore the dashboard. What I should have done is actually gone and created and set up a Clerk application in order to make sure that these are connected. But Clerk realized that sometimes people don't do that. It's letting you know that it allowed a sign in, but you're going to have to go and claim this application now and set it up. So I'm going to hit claim application here, and we're going to claim this application. So we're going to have to set our environment variables. So I'm going to go and copy these. Okay, cool. So we've got a .env. I'm just going to rename it to .env local in this case. So go to rename, and we're going to type in .local. So essentially an env file is again where we keep all our secret keys. You want to make sure that that is listed in .ignore so that it doesn't get pulled up to your repositories or shared anywhere. You want to keep this very safe and try not to share it anywhere. We're going to drop that in here, and so now we have our perishable key and our Clerk secret key, and I'm going to delete these keys after the fact. Back over and follow our next instructions. So waiting to paste your keys, and it's actually gone and read that we have done that, and now we're going to resume development. I have to say the onboarding here is next level good. I know this video is sponsored, but come on, this is really streamlined in terms of setting up, and it's a reason I've been using these guys for years. They really get the developer experience and they just make it so much easier for you. Okay, so let's resume development. Perfect, so it says claim is completed. Your Clerk billing to do has been claimed. Configure settings from the Clerk dashboard. So we're going to pop over to the Clerk dashboard. So essentially we can do all the extra setup that we want here. We can take a look at our users and we see that here I've signed up already and it's logged me that I've been added in. And here we've got our little welcome Robert. So we've got our user icon set up and that is brilliant. Okay, cool. And then if I want, I could go and sign out. Let's see what happens. Perfect. So now I'm signed out. Now let's try and access the dashboard here. And I can't. It's asking me to sign in. So I'm just going to continue with Google. And then perfect, I'm signed in. And you can see that I'm signed in here. And then I'm also signed in up the top here as well. So there is a bit of duplication going on here. We're going to fix that in a minute to make sure that we just have the one wrapper in place. First, let's go back over to Cursor. I think we're in a good spot here and we'd like to save this progress. That was a really good one-shot setup of a authentication system. Again, if you're new to this and you haven't set up auth before, this is a really smooth process. I mean, I've been doing this for years, trying to set up different JWT tokens and other setups, and trying to set up an admin system and an auth system can be a huge part of your time suck. The fact that this is so streamlined and we're able to do it in the course of a tutorial is kind of next level, so really have to call that out. Okay, so we're going to go and stage all these changes. We're going to get a generated commit message, see if we're happy with that. Okay, perfect. And now we're all up to date. Let's take a quick look at the dashboard to understand what you're also capable of doing. You can actually go and create invitations for particular users. You can go and create users from scratch here and add them in. You can break it down into organizations so that if there's multiple different people that are being added in, you can set it up that way. We're going to cover subscriptions in a second. And if we go over to configure, you're able to set up single sign-on connections for organizations. You can decide on what are the different type of social auths that you want to attach. Right now we've got Google set up, which is a really good starting point, and you can take in email addresses as well. Okay, so one thing to note is that we have a duplicate header going on here. So you'll note that other tools like Bolt, Lovable, V0 have something like this where you can select and make particular edits. This is exactly what they're doing. They're basically just allowing you to pick out particular sections, you copy that, drop it into Cursor, and then you can make those specific. So in this case, what we're doing is we're just going to highlight this here. We're going to select this container. It's the broader container, but it's enough for now. I'm going to hit Control C, pop back over to Cursor, and then I'm just going to drop that in there in terms of text. We're going to add a little delimiter. So I just normally hit like 3 stars or something like that. And then I can say, so I've just said, let's remove the clerk button here. I don't think we need it because we have it in the header already. Okay, cool. So quick little test of our flow here. So, I've arrived at my new task flow application. I'm going to go and sign in. So click the sign in button, takes me to our sign in page. I'm going to click my Google and it's going to redirect me to a signed in state. So if I type /dashboard, I actually am logged in, and then if I log out, it should work as well. So actually what I want to happen is once we log in here, I'd like to be redirected to the dashboard. So let's just go and go back over to Cursor, and I'm going to start a new chat again for context's sake. And I'm going to say, when I log in or click the sign in or sign up button on the landing page, it correctly logs me in. But I'd like to be directed to the dashboard page whenever I log in. I don't want to be in the landing page. I want to go straight to the dashboard page. Can we set up some kind of redirect or something to do that? I'm just going to copy in the root page that I'm talking about, and I'm going to copy in the dashboard folder just so it knows what's going on, and then I'm going to hit return here. We can address this by configuring middleware with after sign-in URL or after sign-in URL options, and after sign-in dashboard, after sign up, go to dashboard. Okay, that's good. That's in the middleware. So I'm going to log out again, sign out. It signs me out correctly, and I'm going to sign in, and it redirects me where I wanted to go. Awesome. We're in great shape. Let's see where we are now. We're at the point where we have a fully operational and authenticated application, and it literally took us just a couple of minutes. Let's say that we want to add a certain feature, or we want to add some kind of billing, and we want to have the client sign up. How would we go about managing that? So jumping in here to subscriptions, I'm going to say get started. Okay, so perfect. Clerk setup billing for your application. Let's go and create a plan. Okay, so let's go, and so we have this free plan, which is our standard that we're logged in for right now, as I understand. And now we want to add in a paid plan, okay? To do plus, view my to-dos as a Kanban board maybe, okay? So we've got our monthly base fee at $20, a discount fee, publicly available, no features have been added yet. Okay, features let you define and gate functionality in your app. Add features to your plans to give users fine-grained access to your app. Okay, so let's go and add a feature. So we're going to call this new feature, and it's going to be, we'll call it Kanban, and we're going to say it's publicly available, and we're going to create this feature. Perfect. So I've got my plans created. Now I need to update my session JWT token. So I'm going to configure this. So I'm just going to click the update button and see what we get. I'm going to click update. Perfect, that's updated. And now we have enforced verification for user sensitive actions. And I'm going to go and update that as well. Okay, so we're back again in our billing settings, and we are ready to enable billing. So this wasn't allowing me to enable it before, so make sure that you do the configuration step and the setup step, and then I'm going to click enable billing. So you have an option here between the Clerk payment gateway and adding a Stripe account. I'm going to go the simple route for now. So let's just take a look at the billing guide here in the documentation. So you have two different options. You have a B2C SaaS or a B2B SaaS. I'm just going to go with the simple one for now. Okay, so basically it talks you through enabling the billing, creating a plan. We've done that. We've added a feature to a plan. So essentially we've decided and set up that our feature is going to be a Kanban board. We are given the option to create a pricing page. We haven't done that yet. And then we're going to control the access. So what we've done is we've set up a feature to say that if you're a paid member, you can access the Kanban board. But how do we protect that Kanban board if you don't have paid access? You can use either has or you can use protect. And protect is the one we'll probably use because it works well with React. We can protect that particular route. But first of all, we just need to get something set up in the application that we want to actually protect. So let's jump quickly back over to Cursor. Let's remind ourselves where we are in terms of our application. So we have this basic dashboard application, but maybe now I want to have a Kanban board version of this. Okay, so I'm in 2.5 agent mode, and I'm going to hit run on this, and let's see how we get on. Okay, that was remarkably quick. Okay, sweet, that worked fine. And then I click accept. But now I'd like to be able to move over and back between the different sections. So I'm quickly going to add in a sidebar. So new chat, because it's new context, get rid of the middleware. And I'm going to say, can we add a sidebar to the dashboard app so that we list the to-do page and then also the Kanban page? Okay, so we've added in a sidebar, so it's easier for us to navigate. So we have to do, and then we have Kanban. Perfect. So our Kanban board here is going to be a protected feature of our application. So how do we protect the Kanban section? I'm going to add in that context here, and then what we're going to do is come up with our prompt. Okay, so I'm going to go and hit send on this one. Okay, so let's take a look through here. Okay, I can help you with that. First, I need to locate the file that renders the page. So it found the Kanban page correctly. I found the page, I've read the page. It doesn't have a protect route in place, so we're going to import that. So it's doing that there. The changes have been applied. Now only users with to-do-plus plan will be able to see the Kanban board. Others will see a fallback message. Is there anything else I can help you with? Okay, so we're going to go and review the change here. So I noticed that it said we added to do plus. That's not the correct name we want to change. So I'm just going to find exactly where, yeah, here we are. So I'm just going to accept these changes, but then make sure that we've got not the dash plus here, we've just got to do plus. Okay, perfect. So now if we look at our Kanban page, it says that I'm not signed up as a To-Do Plus member yet, so I can't access this. Sad face. So if I go to To-Do, I can get in there fine. If I go to Kanban, I can't get in there. So how would I actually go about signing up for this? So I guess we need some kind of a pricing page that we want to add in. So let's go over to cursor again. Now, a pricing page could go in many different places. We're just going to add it into the sidebar here for simplicity. Let's create a new chat window here. To be honest, the model does a great job at pulling in its own context, but I find in cases where I do have errors, it's because Gemini hasn't been able to find exactly what I'm talking about. I have to say I'm really impressed with Gemini here. It's playing a blinder in terms of this setup. It might be my new favorite model, but I'm going to have to spend a little bit more time with it to confirm. Also going to add in our clerk billing documentation here. In the sidebar, I want to set up a pricing page which lists the pricing options and allows me to sign up. Please review the billing documentation for assistance on how we approach this. Okay, and then I'm just going to hit go. Okay, first I'll add a new link in your sidebar, the pricing, then based on the clerk billing MD, I'll create a new file. Great, now I'll create a new pricing page at this page will use pricing table component to display your pricing pans. Okay, so it's added the link, but there's nothing here. And if I go back again, a quick check, it's done what it's did before, and it's gone and created a new app folder. So that means it didn't use the tools to actually search and understand what was there previously. So I had that problem at the start. It's done it again. It does seem to be fine with its tool calling. It can search and grep directories, but it seems to just forget about it sometimes. So just pay attention to this issue. So in this case, we're going to restore the checkpoint to go back in time. We're going to add in the context of the dashboard to make sure that it knows it's there. So go to source and dashboard. So just add that in. So again, it knows that it's there. Okay, awesome. Now it's in the right place here. Now we have our pricing table in place. Okay, so now we've got our to-do, which we can access, and I go to access my Kanban, but no, I have to be a paid member to use this. So I click on pricing, and then I get my options. I have free, which is active, and then I have my to-do plus, and it shows the different features I have available. So the Kanban feature is there. So build monthly, build annually, it's build monthly, it's $20 a month, and build annually, it's $15 a month. This is such a huge time saver. I mean, I don't have to go and build this out, connect this up to a database or anything. You have to realize here that right now we're at a point where we didn't have to set up any database. I don't have any Supabase set up. I don't have anything else complicated going on in the background. This is all run and handled by Clerk for us. And I didn't have to set up webhooks, etc. This is just such a big time saver. So I'm going to try and subscribe and see what happens. So we've got our checkout here. Okay, to do plus, pay with a test card. Yes, I will. Payment was successful. Okay, and I'm going to click continue. Perfect. Now, so if I go to do, I have access. If I go to Kanban, it's telling me I don't have access. Let's see if I refresh. No. Okay, pricing. So I'm in active for to do plus. We just need to figure out why I'm not getting access here when I go to Kanban. So just dropping a prompt in here, I have a user successfully signed up on the To Do Plus plan, but when I go to visit the protected page, it's not letting me view it. Can you check what the problem might be? And then I'm just going to hit run here. Okay, so it's getting me to double check that it is named To Do Plus. Okay, this is where I've gone wrong here. So this is the name of the plan, but the slug is to do _plus. So thanks Gemini for having me check that. I thought I was using the right one. So hopefully nobody gets caught out on that. So this, hit save. Oh, now we've got access. So if I go to do, and then Kanban. Now we have access, and now we have our pricing page. Amazing. So hopefully you got some value out of that. If you like this kind of video, maybe you should check out this one next.